Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. In today's Deal Deep Delve, I'm going to be talking with two of my friends, Caleb and Jake. Each one of them has purchased a property, and we're going to be doing a video for each one of them. This is the first video, so to catch Jake's, you're going to come and check out the next video. I want to show people that it's still possible to invest during a pandemic. And for someone like me who's been investing for 10 years, it's pretty easy to just keep building with the income snowball, take the money and put it in the next property. But Caleb invested in the middle of 2020 when a pandemic was going on and everybody was pulling back from real estate because nobody knew what was going on. In September, he closed on a duplex. So, Caleb, take some time. Tell me how you found the deal and what made you decide this was going to be the property to go for.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dion. So starting in August of 2020, I started hopping on the MLS from a link from Realtor, looking through a search that gave me all the local multifamilies, and every place that I saw that looked good was extremely expensive. And that was just kind of the common theme. The market was really hot. Deals were closing like that day, or offers were getting accepted that day. So I first saw a place in North Wales nearby me that it was a nice town, tons of public transportation, all that good stuff. It was just like perfect emotional connection. As soon as I saw this house, and I go there, $50K over asking, get beat out, cash offer, inspections waived. So that was the market I was in at the time. It's pretty much the same how it is now back then. I saw a duplex for under 200,000. It was 175 listed, and it was up down duplex row home in a town pretty far north of where I was originally looking. Jake and I, we went, checked it out, looked at it. It was perfect. Needed a little bit of work, so it would scare away, most people, but it was something that I could definitely figure out how to do. I've never done any sort of repair or remodeling or anything of that on a house before, so it was definitely a challenge. But once we got that house picked out, I put the offer in at asking and was just banking on being able to get seller's assist, because if I tried to nickel and dime on the asking price, at the end of the day, the cash to close would be not that different if I say knocked $5,000-$10,000 off versus getting that much back in seller assist. That would save me so much money. I'd be able to do a lot more repairs on the house to get better rents for it. That was the initial strategy. We put the offer in and it got accepted the next day. That's how it all started out.
Okay, and you said North Wales. I should have asked you, where are you located?
Sorry, yeah, I realized that initially just because I know you're on the West Coast, but we're located on the East Coast, about 45 minutes north of Philadelphia.
How much was the list price? You said you made an asking price offer. How much was that exactly?
That was I think it was actually $100 under 175, but we just knocked it up. So I guess it was actually $100 over asking. Yeah, 175,000.
Okay, and you made the asking price offer. How were you going to finance this?
This was a conventional finance option I was looking into. I was already working with a mortgage broker at the time. I was pre-approved, had the ballpark numbers I was looking at initially, and he gave me the numbers on it. I initially was wanting to get a 5% down loan on the house, but the financing didn't work out at the time, so 15% down was required. So at the time, I had enough saved up that 15% wasn't impossible. So that was how we went forward.
Part of it is timing, and lender fears change week to week sometimes. I've seen people do 5% down on small multifamily, but for pretty much the last couple of years, 15%, even owner occupied, is what a lot of them want. If you lender shop enough, you can probably find some that will do lower down. But so you did 15% down. And were these occupied units?
One of them was one vacant, which was, it actually worked out really well. The one that needed the most work was vacant. And then the one I initially planned to move into with my girlfriend was occupied. So I knew I would have to serve the lease termination on the one side, but at least in the meantime, while I waited for that, I would be able to do some work on the house and get it ready.
And this is where some people really need to check their local laws. During the pandemic with the CARES Act, there is some misconceptions where people say tenants don't have to pay their rent and they can't be evicted. Like I've heard investors say those sentences, and people can be evicted for all kinds of things. Currently, they can't be evicted for not paying the rent because of the CARES Act. But if you're buying a property and it is a duplex and you don't have other properties and you're going to owner occupy, serving an intent to occupy can make the tenant move out. And so that's something people can do like you did, even during a pandemic. So you renovated the upstairs and you moved into the downstairs.
Correct.
Okay. And so how did it go for you finding your first tenant?
So we use Facebook Marketplace in our area. It's surprisingly very populated with people looking for rentals. If you look on all the big websites around us, apartment.com, Zillow, there's like nothing available in the area. So that just means that it's, a lot of demand, low supply. Even talking to people, at the dentist, you ask somebody, hey, somebody looking to rent a place? Like, I know 12 people looking to rent a place right now and they can't find anything. So, we knew a demand was there. So when we're putting these places together, we're just trying to make them look as nice as possible, take all the nicest pictures we can, just post them on Facebook Marketplace. Within a few hours, hundreds of people are sending in messages asking to see it. So I like to go for the open house, get everyone there at the same time. So I'm not setting up appointments with a million people, and really save myself some time with that.
Nice. I actually wish I'd watched this video before my last tenant placement. I had a place open up. I used to use Cozy, and Cozy was acquired by apartments.com. But apartments worked out really well. I had 12 applicants within 4 hours. Same thing, high demand, no supply. It's kind of rare to hear people getting offers accepted at the list price. My last two were accepted at the list price. But everything you hear on the news, people say it's 10, 20, 30,000 over, double the asking price or something ridiculous. So those rare occasions get all of the press. Once you had this under contract and you moved in and you renovated the top, what do the rent numbers look like now?
Yeah, the upstairs was something that I'd gone back and forth on a little bit. It was on the fence of whether we were going to list it as 3 beds or 2.5 beds. You can only do 2 or 3, but I wanted a couple up there just so somebody who would be a little bit quieter. So I listed it only as 2 and listed for 12.
What's a half bed?
It's like a walk-through bedroom. So it's like to
I
get to
hadn't heard that before.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing with old houses. You'll have that where there's like one entrance on one side of the floor, and then you have to walk through the bedroom to get to the other bedroom.
Must be an East Coast thing. There's not really that much of that out here on the West Coast. And someday I might take a trip to the East Coast.
Yes, but not today.
I was gonna say, when you got 100-year-old houses, you find some weird stuff in these places after they've been remodeled like 30 times.
What did you end up listing it for as far as the rent?
So that was $1,250, and there was initially a pet fee for the upstairs, $50 a month to have a large animal. And I negotiated with the tenant to mow and shovel for that, to waive that $50 fee for their dog. So that turned out nice for me because I am currently living here now. So it almost feels like an apartment for me at the moment. So I can't complain.
Nice. And how much is the mortgage?
That's $980.
Okay, so principal, interest, taxes, insurance, $980, $1,250 for the rent. So even setting aside for repairs and maintenance and taking care of probably some utilities for yourself there, you're pretty much living for free. How many people
Absolutely.
your age do you think are actually living for free and not throwing money away into rent every month?
Personally, I know one person and he's sitting next to me right now. So that's about it.
It's not that complicated, but it's not that easy. A lot of people don't buy a house until much later in life, once they're married and they have kids, and house hacking doesn't seem very attractive because you don't want people living close to you. Maybe someone's spouse isn't on board with investing, but to do it when you're younger, like you and you said your girlfriend lived there, that's the perfect time to do it. You're getting the momentum going to get that income snowball going to where in 2, 4, 6, 8 years, the rental properties will just start stacking up and you will completely have work optional. So you can do whatever job you feel like instead of the one you have to do.
Yeah, and with these numbers on this place, it was just absolutely insane that there wasn't more people interested in buying it and more competitive offers for us to deal with. Because running the numbers on this with comparable rents in the area, even taking, repair, CapEx, vacancy rates, all that, it's still around, at least for me, it was a 28% cash on cash return. So that was, once I move out, I rent the whole place out, I'm looking at $2,250 gross. Subtract all my expenses with all the rates, I'm netting just over $700 a month. So over 12 months divided by the 30,000 I had to put down to buy the house, it's a great return. And anybody can save up that much money over a few years of working. I was 23 years old when I bought this house, so I'd spent 5 years working full time. So it's a long time to save up.
And I don't think I've ever met an investor who doesn't think, I wish I started sooner. So
Absolutely.
good job on starting when you did.
Appreciate it.
Where did you get your lease from?
That was through Jake here. He's has his license, his real estate license. So he worked at a was it Keller Williams for a little bit, got some paperwork, and then now you're at EXP now. Where did you get that lease from?
KW. Yeah.
KW, yeah. So it was from a reputable institution, and then I looked through it and I was like, this all makes sense to me. So yeah, it's just kind of boilerplate stuff.
I work with a few agents, and a lot of people like EXP and their method. But what I really like is the training format for Keller Williams. They seem to produce some of the best agents and like one of my favorite agents that I work with started with Keller Williams. He's with a new firm now, or brokerage, or whatever it's called. But his training was spot on because I started working with him in his first year. I've done 4 deals with him now, and he's never once made a mistake. And he's everything I've expected from an agent, he's been able to do. What are your long-term goals with this duplex?
So currently we're living here now. It's a house hack, just meant to increase my income snowball, as you so nicely coined for us. That will then grow for my day job. Once I have enough money, I'm planning on doing this again to then move out and just keep rinse and repeat, buying multifamily, house hacking, and then renting out the previous units that I was previously occupying to then get more income each month. And once that is sufficient enough, my personal plan is to start a tech startup and not be worried about putting food on the table. I'm a DevOps engineer currently, so I work on computers, cloud stuff, AWS, all that good stuff. So I'm in the field now, and it's a completely different ball game. When I tell people what I'm doing now, and they've always known me as a computer guy, it's kind of a funny kind of back and forth flip. It's like never expected of me, but yeah, it really just is so straightforward to get financial freedom. It's crazy.
A lot of people try to overcomplicate it, and there are so many ways to get to financial freedom that a lot of people get stuck in those first few steps because there's so many paths to learn. Somebody tries to learn all of them, or they try to learn 100%. And the Marine Corps in me taught you get to 80% and then you take action. And you said earlier before we were recording, if you get to 50% in real estate, you should be taking action. And I agree. I think that's the right strategy. Get the basics down, find out what your end goals are, and start taking the steps, because the first steps are the same for pretty much all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to save, work on your credit score, find a lender to find out what you qualify for, and then narrow down what you're looking at. Like, no matter who you are or what you want to invest in, those first steps work for everybody. So when everybody's stuck in the beginning, they should at least be working on those.
And my 50% turned out to be much less than I initially thought it was too. So that was an eye opener. I don't think you'll ever be ready for it until you dive in. You look at that problem dead smack in your face. You're like, I signed up for this. There's no going back. You know, this is all mine now. And you got to try and fix that leak or whatever it's causing a ton of damage right in front of you or whatever it is. You know?
What do you think was the biggest challenge you've had that you weren't expecting?
When I just not knowing what to do, like the roof was old and I saw something that looked absolutely horrible, like that it was causing tons of water damage in the house, but it just turned out it just hadn't been repaired in 30 years. So it just had slowly been leaking for a long time, but I thought it was an overnight, catastrophic thing or something that I just noticed. I just put a bunch of sealant on it and haven't had a problem with it since. So that was the first night I was here. It was just the pit of despair. I was like, what did I sign up for? This house is going to fall apart tomorrow. And yeah, it wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, I'm not real handy myself either. I've learned to do some small things, but I've had a few roofs replaced. And then I had a property that was developing a leak, and I called my roofer. He went out and did a repair and said, this would normally cost about $250. So if you ever have that problem again where you need to do just a quick maintenance, it's really not that much money. And then my roofer actually said, we're not going to charge you anything because we know you're going to give us the next deal, which that's how you keep someone's business.
Big time.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you for your time coming on here today. Someday I might try to figure out what all those acronyms meant when you started talking about what you do for real work.
But not today.
For your W-2 work.
Don't even bother. Thanks for having me on, Dion. I like watching your videos there. You got some nice guests coming on, and even from coming on our podcast initially, some of the topics that you had brought up really kind of changed the way we look at certain things that we were afraid of initially, but now we see it as an opportunity now. So I like to thank you for all the time you're putting into all this.
Can you take a minute and share a little bit about your podcast?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're the Young Slumlords Podcast. Find us anywhere. We put out bi-weekly shows, currently have guests on, a little bit longer format. So if you drive a lot, it's perfect for that. Throw us on. We pump out as much value as we possibly can. Our stories getting started in real estate and all the stuff we run into. So check us out anywhere there's podcasts.
Awesome. I'm glad you came on and then we get to share that, because I'm trying to get information on this industry out to as many people as possible. I'm glad that you're doing that. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
And that is so hard to do when somebody's on the other side of the thing. Because normally it's just talking to a computer doing a 10-minute video. But I'm like, sound like a mentally challenged person.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Did you guys go into his rent numbers? I don't think so.
No, we didn't.
Because I think that's really important.
Yeah,
I might move it to the middle.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. After you asked me for the list price, you can splice it in right there, because you already are going to have to splice it right there.